Good morning, Internet. My daily blog. I'm just having breakfast. I've made myself a coffee as usual. Very homemade, organic coffee, and it's brewed in the most traditional way. So today is 11th of April, and continuation of the daily readings. Yesterday, I didn't finish the daily reading on 10th of April because of exigency of work. I had to rush somewhere. So today I'll have to cover the Deuteronomy 34:1 to Joshua 2 to 24. That will be a long one. And then Luke 13:23 all the way to 14 and verse 6. And then Psalms 79 1 to 13. Then cover today's readings of Joshua 3 1 to 4 all the way to 24. And Luke 14 7 up to 35. And then Psalms 81 to 90. And of course, the Proverbs of the day, that is 12, 27 up to 28. Now, it is 3 days after the total eclipse. Very rare eclipse which happened, but it was not in this part of the world, it was in Americas. And there were a lot of speculations, astrologers, NASA, the International Space Station, and three or four events were expected: the solar eclipse, the visit by the devil's comet, and then the European International Nuclear Research Station, that is CERN, space in Switzerland, were blasting particles to see the behavior during the solar eclipse. Conspiracy theorists were talking about that they wanted to open a portal in the space, which was going could have been a very dangerous or a disastrous event. And then the fourth event was the NASA was sending 3 rockets up into space during the solar eclipse. And then they were trying to send out flares into the space, especially on the area where they were having a total eclipse. How that would have affected, or whether it was just part of research, it is something that we have to know. So that is so everything has gone. Now there was a lot of predictions about the solar eclipse and the aftermath. Some were saying it will precede earthquakes. Of course, there was a 4.5 earthquake in New York, 4.5 on the Richter scale earthquake in New York. Then there was one of 7.24 on Richter scale in Taiwan, which it killed quite a number of people, and it led to collapse of a number of buildings, and it even led to declaration of a tsunami warning in those countries in the Far East. Then there was the threat of flooding, evidence of flooding in many areas. Then there was the issue of the war in the Middle East and Russia, that it may intensify. Then there was and even new wars being declared. Then there was that there would be problems in communication because of the Mercury retrograde and the Jupiter coming into the Pisces, devices in astrology, maybe, or I think in the Western astrology. So all those sorts of superstitions were being said all over. Then others were saying there will be a crash in the market, in the stock market, or generally in the economies. Either we'll go to recession, so and so forth and so forth. But everything is moving well. Okay, there's evidence, which is good. So so these things are just happening. What I can only agree with all these discussions is that there is generally a very intense awareness. In Kenya, we have seen the doctors, the clinical nurses, and the laboratory technicians going into the streets demanding for the rights. You've seen Parliament coming together to listen and address issues that affect the country. One, insecurity, particularly in the northern part of the country, which is affecting my home county, Baringo. Issues of fake fertilizer, and people are calling upon the government to act. Of course, they are using the parliamentary system to clean up certain guys, but their intensity of awareness is very high. Then there is the educational system, which is really in tatters, and the current officials given that responsibility to really manage the affairs of education that will affect the child of the future. They have not measured to them. So there is a lot of, but the intensity, the awareness, even from the lowest cadre or the lower middle class, the lower middle class are cutting all the way, is immense. So we are likely to see this awareness going up, and people realizing that they have to say something. They have to they have to come out and put to task those people who have been given responsibility of leadership, to lead and not to just go for talk shows and road shows. So that is maybe one key feature I've seen, and I've seen it across the world. If you look at South Africa, there is the same issue. In the Middle East, there is the same issue. In Ethiopia, there is the same issue. In Uganda, we are seeing a lot of people saying no to most of those things, which but more prominently and more really delighting is the developments in Senegal, where they have elected a 44-year president who has been sworn in and is telling the French to pack up and go. And then developments in Burkina Faso, particularly after the coup, developments in Guinea-Bissau, developments in Cameroon, with an octogenarian president who was led there for over 50-something years. Doesn't make sense. So we are seeing those developments, and then also developments in Congo, where the citizens of Congo are telling President Tshisekedi right on the face that he cannot continue dividing Congo on tribal lines. The time has come that he has to really shape up, or he will be shaped. And we foresee a situation where eastern part of Congo will actually be declared an independent state if the current trajectory of the Congolese president dividing or ignoring the eastern Congo, the areas of Goma and the eastern parts of Congo, and saying that most of them are Rwandese and not Congolese. That would really split that country into pieces, into smithereens. So generally, you can see that those are new developments that I can see. That I can see the rise of the population, and saying, hey, listen here, things cannot run the way they have been running. So that is something I'm likely to watch over the few days. And astrologers and channelers and people, foreseers, spiritual leaders, mystics, are saying that the intensity of the solar system can go up to 18 months. The effect can go on. So we'll keep on, I'll keep watching on this, and particularly on the spiritual side, and then I'll be able to tell you. So I will take my coffee, go through the phases, and then maybe I'll give you a summary of what I've discussed. I think the task yesterday, which I promised yesterday, was true. That Moses was called into the Moab plains. He went to Nebo mountain, and then he went where God had instructed him, and he died there. And he had done all this part, including the last subdivision and giving responsibilities to each of the 12 houses of Israel. Very interesting. Some will be priests, some ought to be soldiers to take care of the country or foreign invasions, some ought to be business people and farmers, some ought to specifically dedicate their craftsmanship on the building and the carrying and of the tabernacle. That was the dwelling, the holy dwelling of the Yahweh. Some were herders and they were going. Some would be diplomats who was being sent. So Moses did his part. Now we want to see the leader of Joseph, and I'll tell you a story. My father, who died, I think, in the 90s. My father, he died in the early 90s. God rest his soul in peace. On those early days of Christianity, he was given a Bible, the Old Testament. And whenever he wanted to name his child, he would read the Bible. And then he would read the qualities of a leader, and he names the child. So I have a brother called Joshua, named after Joshua here. I have a brother named Micah, named after Micah. I have another one named Simeon, who he saw it in the New Testament, the role of Simeon. So these are some of the things. So I would want to go through the genealogy of Joshua, the meaning of that name, what he did during his time, and who wrote this book. So hold on, I'll come back and I'll be able to explain to you that in due course.